3 sentences to start a little boy is dying in a high-rise that touches the clouds. A cleaning woman's daughter is the only person who notices the pattern nobody else can see, and a toy that looks harmless is the thing that will change everything. Stick with me. This is the kind of story that makes you lean in close because by the end, you'll be asking who really counts as important. Act 1. 2 worlds. There are 2 kinds of lives in the same building, and they do not mix. On the top floors lives Adrian March, a man who built an empire of condos and quiet threats. A man who keeps his world in marble and hush. His apartment smells like polished cedar and decisions that cost other people nights of sleep. On the back stairwells and service elevator lives Rosa Vega cleaning crew, 13 years on the job, $18 an hour, a woman who's learned to be small so her family can survive. And with Rosa is her daughter Maya, 11, who moves through the rooms like she's reading a book that nobody else can open. Maya's brain is a strange radio. It picks up things other people tune out. She counts steps, remembers times, notices when someone touches the same thing twice in the same way. School calls it behavioral challenges. Other kids call it weird. Maya calls it information. She keeps a spiral notebook and fills it with numbers the way other kids collect baseball cards, obsessively, faithfully. Her mother has taught her the rules of the world they're allowed to be in use. The service door, don't speak to the family, never look Mr. March in the eye. For 4 years, those rules kept Rosa employed and the lights on. The Marches are fancy in a way that demands secrecy. They have an entire room that's half office, half hospital. Machines, monitors, specialists flown in on retainer. Ethan, March Adrian's only kid, has been seizing every 3 days and nobody can stop it. Top neurologists, toxicologists, fancy tests from clinics in Europe, they've tried it all. Each seizure takes more from Ethan than the last. The chief neurologist says plainly, if we don't find the cause before the next event, his brain won't survive it. That next event is hours away. Maya sits in the staff closet pen, scratching paper, and watches patterns appear the way constellations appear if you stare long enough. She writes times down, visits, durations, the small rituals no one notices. For 3 days, she tracks the woman who visits Ethan every night. Claire, March the stepmother. Claire arrives at the same time, leaves the same way, and touches a small stuffed animal, a patched rabbit called Little Bishop, in the exact same rhythm every visit. First when she comes in, then again before she leaves. Maya writes it down. 243 entries by the time she's done. The numbers start to look like a map. Act 2. The whisper that won't be heard. You have to understand how invisible they are. Rosa is invisible because it's cheaper that way. Maya is invisible because people are allergic to the things she notices. She's been punished for pointing out inconvenient truths. Teachers humiliated her classmates, laughed. A principal called her antisocial. So she learned to make her voice small. Not because she wanted to be small, but because loud had always been punished. That night the building is quieter than usual. Ethan's monitors hum. Maya can't sleep. The numbers in her head are not quiet, they itch. She sneaks closer to the glass outside the medical suite and sees Claire tucking Little Bishop under Ethan's chin, pressing it in a way that looks more like a ritual than comfort. Maya smells something faint. Not perfume, not detergent. A sweet chemical under something sharp. She's read about drugs, about how some chemicals can soak through skin if carried right. She whispers under her breath, scopolamine dimethyl sulfoxide. Words she's learned from late-night reading. It might be the rabbit, she says. No one listens. Doctors smile politely and say, that's very observant. The polite dismissal you use when you like the child, but don't plan to change your protocol. The security guard tells Rosa to keep her daughter away from the medical area. Rosa pulls Maya back, whispering the world she's been taught invisible keeps you safe. But Maya can't stop seeing. She slips minute by minute back toward Ethan's room. A guard steps away for a cigarette. Maya slips inside. She moves like she's afraid to make noise because noise gets you caught. She leans towards Little Bishop and smells the chemical up close, bittersweet, a cleaner turned toxic by something else. She knows what she smells, not because she's fancy, but because she has always taught herself to notice. She tries to say it out loud to the toxicologist, to anyone who will look, but her voice is tiny. She whispers into the ear of Dr. Patel, the toxicologist on call, "It's the rabbit." She touches it twice. It's on the fur. Dr. Patel blinks, and in that blink he hears her without believing her. "We ran every panel," he says. "You don't understand. He means we have charts, we have protocols. Trust the paper." Maya's whisper goes back inside her. She has been right before, and it only made problems. Rosa meets her at the service corridor, panic and calculation in the same breath. If Rosa speaks louder, they lose the job. If she is silent, she loses everything. "We can't lose this," she says. Voice cracked. Maya slides open her notebook and shows the page, timestamps, counts correlations. Rosa makes a decision that will cost more than a job. She marches up to the command room, past the guard, and asks flat out for a private word with Adrian. Adrian March is a man who is used to ordering rooms around. He looks at the pair like an intrusion. A person who cleans his floors, and the odd kid who thinks she knows something. But something in him is raw. Endless nights at his son's bedside have made him brittle. For the first time, he does something he hasn't done in years. He listens and isolates them. He closes the doors and tells everyone else to leave. Maya stands in front of him, small, shaking eyes on his shoulder because eye contact terrifies her. And she whispers the truth, the way a match spits into darkness. The rabbit is laced. She touches it to put poison on the fur. It absorbs while he sleeps. Every seizure starts 8 to 12 hours after she visits. I wrote it down. 243 times. That whisper fills the room like a dropped heirloom. The doctors shuffle, the papers fall, and someone finally runs a test on the stuffed animal. The result is a silence that says more than 1,000 words. The toy's stuffing contains a potent compound combined with a transdermal carrier. Not accidental contamination, but precise dosing. It was deliberate. Claire's mask slips for half a second. Her smile becomes a pale thing that doesn't reach her eyes. She's taken for questioning, and the building thinks it has found a villain. But the problem in the bed is urgent, the poison is in Ethan's tissues, and time is running out. They have a choice: let him die or try something untested. Maya, who taught herself to read medical papers late at night, remembers a therapy used for fat-soluble toxins. Lipid emulsion therapy. A lipid sink that draws fat-soluble poison out of tissue into blood to be filtered. It's experimental in this context. Maybe dangerous, maybe brilliant. The chief doctor hesitates. Adrian, who has never gambled anything that mattered, says, "Do it." Act 3. The win and what it costs. They move like a crew in a storm. Lipid flows, monitors scream. For a moment, everything looks like a movie gone wrong. Ventricular arrhythmia, chest compressions, defibrillator charge, and then, slower than a prayer, the numbers move the right way. Toxin levels spike, which is actually a good thing, then fall. In 30 minutes, Ethan's vitals begin to stabilize. In an hour, the gray leaves his skin. He opens his eyes. It is messy and miraculous, and neither word does it justice. Adrian, who is killed, deals with a signature, sits in the corner, and the sound he makes is not a business sigh. It's someone who had been looking at life as a ledger and realizes one of his entries was a person. He walks up to Maya, kneels, and for the first time in his life meets somebody without power behind him. "You saved him," he says. No apology or brimstone could change the heck of that sentence, but he tries later to make amends the way he knows how, securing Rosa a managerial job across his properties, paying for Maya's education, making sure they will never have to disappear into a service elevator again. Doctors eat crow in the sober way. A published case study names Maya as primary diagnostic contributor. News crews call her a prodigy. Experts explain the chemistry and the failure of protocol. The stepmother is arrested. Ethan survives, but will need months of therapy. There may be scars the scans won't name. And Maya. She goes to a school that values pattern over noise. Still quiet, still counting, and still wary of the applause. The end. But this isn't a neat fairy tale where everything is fixed. There are questions that won't settle. Why did it take a child to notice what learned doctors missed? Why do we dismiss people because of how they look, where they sweep, how they speak? How many times did someone whisper a truth and walk away because the world had better things to look at? And what does it mean that a man who was built on fear could learn to say thank you and then try to fix the rest with money? That's the edge of the story I want you to stand on. Tell me, was justice served? Did the system work, or did one brave whisper only highlight how broken the rest of us were? Have you ever been the person who was ignored, the one who saw what others wouldn't? Or have you been the one who ignored a whisper and later felt the weight of that choice? If this grabbed you, leave a comment. Now tell us whether you think the world listens to the right people, or whether we need to start training ourselves to hear the quiet ones first. Share your stories if someone you knew was dismissed and later proven right. Hit like if you believe that different isn't broken. Subscribe if you want more real stories about people who don't fit neatly into polite boxes, and ring the bell so these whispers get louder. Because sometimes all it takes is one small voice to change everything, and someone needs to listen.